For better living, are you feeling good tonight? This thing got me thanking God for life.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for this tutorial, we're going to be using some Shannon Jam as well as your thread rack, and you're also going to need your hair, of course. So we'll be using the pre-stretch EZ Braid hair in the color 1B as well as the color 3027 because the client I'm going to be working on today has a mixture of both colors. So I have it laid out in my rack, already arranged and ready to go. So first things first, her hair is so long and so gorgeous and so pretty. This is how long her hair is. Just really nice. At first glance, like, you'd be like, oh my god, it's a lot of hair, but it's actually not that bad. It wasn't that bad. I think we took about maybe 6.5 hours, which is not bad. But anyway, so I'm gonna be talking to you guys about who should and shouldn't get the knotless box braids. Not everybody's hair can handle this technique. Some people's have textures that actually do need the knots in there for your braids to stay. Now, if you're doing this for the first time, or if you're trying to figure out who to do this technique on, who's the best candidate for this technique and who isn't, I'm gonna tell you guys what I know so far based on my observations. I believe this hair works best with clients of a thicker 4C textures and non-silky textures. Okay, the thicker your hair is, the better this technique will, the better it'll work for you, because what it is that you're starting the braids off with your client's natural hair. So if your client has hair that is silky, this hair would literally like easily slip out. So if you have more of a coarser texture like a 4C, this hair will hold longer because it does have that grip to it that your braids can kind of hang on to, if that makes sense. So kind of keep that in mind if you're doing this. As you can see, I've already gone ahead and added my Shannon Jam at the base to make it tacky, and I'm just going to be taking that EZ Braid hair and just applying one braid at a time, one strand of hair at a time, and I'm placing the hair in between my middle finger and my index finger, and then I braid, and then I wait a little bit and add some more hair. So every time I add hair, I crisscross all 3 braids, and then I add hair again until I have achieved the thickness that I want. Now, people ask, can you do this in a large, or does this braids always have to be the same size? I wouldn't recommend you doing this any larger than these, because if you're gonna do really bulky hair with this method, I recommend you just doing the regular box braids, because it's gonna look like a knot the bigger the size of your braids that you're adding is. So I recommend you just keep it, like, I would say these are medium size. I wouldn't do, if you're gonna do it any smaller than this, you have to make your parting a lot smaller than the ones I have right now, which I don't have time for. So I just don't mess with small size braids anyways, just out of preference of what I like to do and what I don't, in terms of service. But if you want these any bigger than this, I would just recommend you getting the regular large box braids, like with the knots and all, because it'll put too much stress on your hair, because that braiding hair is going to be very heavy compared to the size and the density of your natural hair. So I would just recommend it's safer for you to do the regular box braids if you want large knotless box braids, which I don't know, I just don't think that's a good idea. So because her hair is really long, you want to make sure you have like some product on hand that you can use to apply on her hair as you braid along. As you can see, I always go back and forth to use my knotless box, what am I talking about? I always go back and forth to use my Shannon Jam just to make sure that her natural hair is like tucked into those braids really nicely, and it's not like fuzzy, not too fuzzy. You're gonna naturally have some pieces, especially if your client's hair has like some layers in it. You're gonna have some pieces like poking out, but try your best to use some of that Shannon Jam to kind of tuck the products into the braiding hair. And what I like to do when I get to the ends of my braids is I like to tie a knot. Some people don't do that because, you know, either way the braids may stay, but I feel so insecure when my braids are not sealed at the ends because, you know, I want to take that added measure just to, you know, make sure that everything is good for short, so that way when a client, you know, just avoids any incident of a client texting me, hey, my box braids are unraveling, you know, just secure it with a knot and then dip it in hot water just for added measure. So I'm going to slow it down for you guys just once. So I apply the products onto the hair. Now the reason I do that is to make the hair tacky and make the base, you know, just have a very nice strong grip to it. And then I like to separate the hair naturally into three, all while I am, you know, making that basket weave, you know, intertwining those three strands together just once. After I have done that, I pause, grab a piece of hair, you know, normally that I have laid out in my thread rack, and just apply that piece of hair in between my index finger and my middle finger. And I do another crisscross braid. Now, mind you, that is the first piece of hair that I added. Okay, I'm gonna take another piece of hair and add it just the same way in between my middle finger and my index finger. And I'm gonna do another crisscross braid. Just take your time, make sure you grab it very nice. And I'm gonna take another piece of hair and add it onto the hair. Mind you, these are just three pieces of hair that I hold just like this and add just like this. Now these three pieces of hair are gonna evenly distribute into those three of our natural braids. What am I saying? Those three pieces of hair that I started with, it's gonna evenly distribute with them. And then I'm gonna flip my wrist, and I'm flipping my wrist like to the bottom and braiding like at the bottom. And then any other additional piece of hair that I add from this point on, it's just gonna go towards the length. Okay, now this is not for the size. This is, I mean, it's gonna increase the size just a little bit, so you have to kind of be mindful of the size of the braid that you add. But any other piece of hair that I add with my hands flipped over at the bottom is going towards the length of the hair, because when you're working with pre-stretched hair that in a feeding method, it may mess with the natural flow of the length that you normally would achieve if you were doing the regular box braids. Okay, so when you flip your finger, your wrist, and you start adding hair, that piece of hair would only go towards the length. So think about this: the first three pieces of hair you add is just to get you the thickness, and then any other additional, let's say, two pieces of hair that you add afterwards is going to go towards the length of the hair. So that's how I'm able to break it down to make, you know, to make it clear for myself to know when to stop adding hair and how much hair to add, just to keep my braids consistent with the knotless box braids. So let's say in total we added like 5 pieces of hair per braid, so that way you're able to get the same consistent size of braid throughout your hair. So I'm gonna let you guys watch, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit more in depth about the ideal clients and the not so ideal clients for this method, so that way you guys kind of have an understanding of what I mean. So if you had a client that when you add the shine and jam onto their hair and it immediately turns curly, I would say that is not your ideal client. In terms of that, if your hair easily, just like when you add products, it just easily transforms into another texture, it may mean that your hair is on the finer and the silkier end of things. So be kind of mindful of that. When you do the knotless method on hair like that, it doesn't last as long as if you were to do it on someone with more of a coarser texture. Let's say a 4C chick, that when you add some products, it just absorbs it and doesn't transform the texture, if that makes sense. So that would be an ideal client. A client that has really, really thick and full hair is also a very ideal client, because it just means that their hair will be able to hold the additional weight of the braiding hair, so that way it lasts longer. So yeah, so I would say non-silky clients as well as thicker texture clients are the best candidate for this hair. Now, if you have relaxed hair, you can still get away with it if you have full hair. If your hair is very, very thick and it's still relaxed, you can get away with it. But just be on the lookout. I always tell my clients, like, hey, let me know how the hair holds up, because even when you have clients that seem like they're ideal, it just, I don't know, something could just happen. Let's say they don't know how to keep the braids, and the hair may not hold up as long. So I would say, just, let me know how your hair holds up when you get home. I would say before your appointment, try not to put any oils into your hair. Anything that could cause any slipping, try not to put that onto your hair. Just come with your hair blown out, and I would do all the product adding. If you need to add products, let it be after you've already gotten your hair braided. You can actually see your scalp and then spray or add any coconut oil or almond oil that you normally do add to your braids. But yeah, that's just a little FYI on the ideal and unideal candidate. As you can see with the hair, I'm adding some blonde pieces on there, and I'm not tucking it. I don't know if you can. I've never tried to tuck with this method. I'm pretty sure you can, but it would just be like a lot of work because you're not starting the hair with braiding hair, so it's kind of hard to tuck from the get-go. You're just adding the hair after you've braided her natural hair, so that may be hard to tuck a braiding hair into a braiding hair that's a different color into the natural hair. I don't know how that would work, but I'll try and figure it out, and then I'll let you guys know. I really loved the color playoff that we did. So what I did was some pieces of hair I started, like I did her natural hair, and then I started off adding black pieces of hair, and then I ended it by adding blonde pieces of hair. So I did maybe like 3 pieces of hair that was with black hair, and then I did another 2 strands of blonde streaks mixed into 1 strand of braids. So that, or I just added only blondes throughout, just to kind of give me a variation of like, like blonde and black mix in, I don't know how to explain it, like texture look. And it came out really, really cute. Normally, if you guys know me and you've been watching my braiding tutorials, like typically when I see stuff like this, it bothers me, like colors that are mixed in randomly like this. It takes a lot for me to do them because I'm very OCD with hair, and I want everything to look very uniform and the same. So like when you start adding different colors, it really like bugs me. But I really like tried to push myself out of my comfort zone, and you guys, I think I deserve a like for that. So go ahead and give me a thumbs up for that little, pushing myself thing. But I actually really liked it. I think I'm gonna do it more often with different colors as well. Like it adds a sort of dimension to the look. Like it just adds, some personality to your hair, and it looks good when things aren't so like straight and simple and uniform all the time. It gives it, some flair. So I thought it was really nice. I'm gonna do it a little bit more often, in the future. Not every day tuck, some days on tuck. So, you guys, I want to talk about something. So, I've been seeing a lot of posts going around about like how much people should charge for the knotless box braids. I've seen somebody charge about $700 no, $500 and tipped. I think it was Elisa Ash. I don't know if hers was a knotless box braid, but it was just very small. She paid about $500 for the box braids and tipped $200, which I think was so nice and very generous. And I saw someone online on Instagram that charged about $400 for the knotless box braids. What do you think is an ideal price for the knotless box braids? As you can see, it does take more patience and more time to complete than a regular braids. It takes less hair than normal braids because you're working with smaller pieces of hair, so you're able to micromanage your hair more than if you were to do the regular braiding method. So I wouldn't say you use more hair for this at all. If anything, you use less hair. Because you're braiding with your natural hair, and then add in the braiding hair to complement it. So I charge about $260, including hair. And I think that's very conservative. But then again, it's me. So you share me, let me know in the comment section. Do you think that is a good price or do you think that's outrageous? How much will you pay for this service? And if you're a stylist, how much would you set your price for this service? Now, I told you guys mine. It takes me about 6 hours to complete this. If I do regular box braids, it takes me about 4 hours to complete. So there's about a 2 hour additional, time that I'm spending on this. But yeah, let me know, how much would you pay for this? How much would you charge for this? What's a reasonable price? And if your client has long hair as my clients, would you charge extra? Like, what are your thoughts on that? I really, really want to know. Share with me in the comment section. Let's have a discussion. Let's set our prices together. Let's come to a conclusion. We probably won't be able to because everybody has like their own ideas. But I want us to, get that going in our comments and like just talk about it. So that way, if you're a stylist and you're trying to figure out how much to price this service, you can kind of have an idea of what people are saying and what people are offering and all that. So let me know, and I really, really, really am going to be reading them, and I will be, we're going to talk about it. I'm excited. But yeah, I'm going to let you guys watch, and I'll be right back. Oh, yes, this is my favorite part when I get to trim the hair and I'm done. And lately, you guys, I've been really taking my time when it comes to trimming. Like, I literally go through every single braid and trim individually. Before, I'd like skip a couple braids and like half-ass it. But I see the difference. I see the difference in how my braids look when I really take my time to trim. And it's like the not so fun part. But if you just take your time to do it, it could take your braids to like the next level of like, you know, neatness. So just be patient and do it. And yeah, your client would thank you for it. So I like to drip my clients and then I dip the hair in hot water. And, you know, yeah, the basics. You guys have seen me do this 100 times. I have like a little kettle that I put next to my workstation to heat up the hot water just to make it quicker for me without having to go to my kitchen and get the pot and, you know, all that good stuff. And I apply some of that mousse. The mousse is going to lay the flyaway hair, give it some more body and movement, and it's just going to moisturize it as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The hair, you can literally like put it in a ponytail from the jump after you finish doing your hair, because the knotless box braids, I don't know if you guys know, it's like tension free, so you can literally just like do whatever you want with your braids in terms of styling right away, as opposed to waiting a couple weeks or a week into getting your hairstyle before you can manipulate it into any hairstyle. So I just laid her hair with my guys to be, and yeah, she's ready to go. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure you give this a like, you know, share my videos, subscribe, you guys. I really want to get to 200,000 subscribers. I've been doing this for a while now, and I think it's time, okay? It's time to get to the next level. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a merry day.